Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Here we are, March 27th, and working our way into the second week of spring. And as you would expect, we've got plenty of spring like weather on the way for the eastern parts of the United States. Unfortunately, that does mean the threat for more severe weather. Right now, we are tracking a rather vigorous upper level storm system that is approaching the Pacific Northwest, make that the Pacific coast. Not northwest, but it's approaching central California. That's that orb that you see here, that bowling ball feature right in the middle of your map there. That's going to make its way onshore as we go throughout the next 24 hours. From a jet stream view, it looks like this. Those jet stream winds taking a deep dive down the west coast and in almost to the Baja of California. That's the upper low that's going to traverse across the southern Rockies and unfortunately will lead to an explosion of thunderstorms Tuesday, Wednesday, and even into Thursday for portions of the mid-Atlantic. Let's take it one step at a time. During this short update, we're going to be talking about when you can expect the storms, the locations, and the potentials with them, including tornadoes. Yes, I do believe we will see more tornadoes this week, maybe a lot of them, particularly on Wednesday. So here's a look at the GFS, make that the European forecast model, showing those upper level winds as they're making their way into Southern California starting early tomorrow. That's the beginning of that upper low. It will bring plenty of rain to Southern California, Central California, so valley rains and high elevation snows as well, especially for the Sierra Nevadas. That low going to take a couple of days to reach the southern plains, but by Tuesday, it's going to begin to interact with some moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. So Tuesday late day, I'm expecting a lot of thunderstorms for the central and then southern plains. Those will likely be strong and severe, and all modes of severe weather will be possible with that setup. We move further ahead into the day on Tuesday, and this is actually the day I'm more concerned with. Those upper level winds begin to dig what we call a negatively tilted upper level trough. And what this will allow is for the dangerous combination of low level moisture, cold air aloft, and the veering of winds with height. All of that is conducive for severe weather and particularly large hail and tornadoes. So that's what we're looking at for Wednesday, and eventually that trough makes its way to the east. Now, as far as what we are expecting at the surface, the Storm Prediction Center has already isolated a couple of areas that we're very interested in. And they've got a large day 3 slight risk that stretches from Kansas City all the way down into the heart of Texas. This whole area, again, by late Tuesday, could be under the gun for some very nasty weather. In advance of that, already in day 4, they've got a 30% for Dixie, portions of the deep south. That's really a pretty high probability this far in advance. So be on the lookout for severe weather. And that 15% is stretching northward into portions of the middle Mississippi River Valley. I do believe that this entire area will be expanded. And I think at the end of the day, we could be looking at maybe another moderate risk of severe weather by Wednesday. It's a little bit of a conjecture on my point, but that's kind of the way that I'm looking at this. So let's take you right through some of the weather models. I'm going to go straight to the European forecast model and taking a look at what you can expect from kind of a broad view. And we're going to advance forward to Tuesday morning. Low pressure begins to surge out of the Rockies, and look how quickly precipitation forms. First on the north in the form of rain and snow, heavy snow for portions of the northern plains and also portions of the Great Lakes. But that low pressure begins to deepen, and then we see those thunderstorms developing. And they're going to develop first into Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Here's a close-up look at that. Just as the thunderstorms develop late day Tuesday, this may not be till very late afternoon or early evening before we see what we call initiation, along and ahead of that developing cold front. And these storms, again, all modes of severe weather will be possible with these. But because of the alignment of the upper winds and best instability and forcing, I don't think it's going to be like a high or moderate risk day. Probably will be elevated from a slight risk. I'm expecting an enhanced risk of severe weather on this day, particularly for straight line winds. I think that's going to be the biggest deal. These storms blow up Wednesday evening, Wednesday night across portions of the plains and then into the Mississippi River Valley. Let's fast forward, and this is going to go into portions of the south and southeast for Wednesday. We'll pick this up here Wednesday morning, and thunderstorms will be ongoing, some strong, possibly severe even in the morning, but the much higher likelihood of severe weather will be for Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. And this is as we see a low pressure that deepens very rapidly. That low, as of this will be early afternoon across central portions of Missouri. That's a 991 millibar low. That actually drops rapidly as we head towards Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. Low deepening to 984 near Chicago by around midnight. And it actually deepens further as we head into the overnight period. So a rapidly deepening low should help to pull in sufficient moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. And what you're seeing here on this particular plot, which is future precipitation, it also has future sea level pressure, but I'm looking at these stripes that we're seeing here. This does not look like a single band or like a single squall line. What this appears to be are individual supercell thunderstorms embedded in some sort of a line of storms. This is going to be comparable to what we saw last week. And of course, we know all the severe weather with the storm last week. This one, it looks very similar in many areas. It won't be until we get a little closer in time frame to tell exactly who's going to be at the greatest risk of severe weather. But at this point, I would say anywhere from the Gulf Coast all the way up into the Ohio Valley needs to watch this storm carefully. It is that time of the year, and I certainly believe that we are looking at another significant severe weather maker for this week. So there you have it. That's your heads up. Tuesday, Wednesday, be on the lookout. There will be an opportunity for a little more severe on Thursday. I'll cover that as we get a little closer to it. Thanks for being here. Be sure to share this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We'll talk to you soon. I'm meteorologist Jeremy Capel.